So we're just gonna start from the top and genuinely apologize for the technical issues. So if everyone will hang with me, we're gonna get into state. And by getting into state, I mean we're gonna do just a little deep breathing. Dr. Ron and I are gonna explain why and how all that works. However, if you'll just trust and do this breathing right now and then continue to breathe throughout while we're doing it, oh my gosh, you will get so much out of today. So breathe in, take a good deep breath in. Ah, breathe out. Maybe even let yourself smile a little bit. Breathe in, just a good deep breath in. Put both feet on the floor, and then breathe out. And then one more time for good measure. Maybe even bobble your head a little bit like Dr. Ron likes to do. Breathe in, hold it in, and then breathe out. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate your time. We realize how valuable your time is, and we appreciate it, and we will honor it today. The more you breathe and play along, the more you'll get out of this. And so we're really, really excited about this issue, especially because it's overcoming overwhelm and feeling undervalued. How many of you right now, and you don't have to raise your hands or anything, but like this is an internal or rhetorical question. How many of you right now have felt a little bit of overwhelm recently or a little bit of, man, nobody appreciates anything I'm doing. How hard would it be for them to go dump the trash and, help out a little bit? And so if you're feeling that, we're feeling you and the world is feeling that. Dr. Ron.
Hi, hi everyone, and I do thank you for coming. Yeah, that breathing is crucial. That's going to regulate your energy. You get to learn to pay attention to how you're feeling and how centered you are at any given time. And as you do that, all you need to do is breathe and just gently exhale. Whatever you ever feel triggered or emotions coming up or something catching you off guard, just bring yourself back to center so you can access that higher level of thinking, access who you really are. So if you're here, chances are you're already an achiever. You're built a career, your business, and something that you're proud of. On the outside, it looks like you've mastered the game. But on the inside, is there still that heaviness? You still feel like you're running into that glass ceiling, the constant demands and the pressure to keep improving yourself. You know, I've often seen it with clients. They'll come in and they're really getting burned out because they're using what they've used before and even trying harder and because slowing down feels risky. It's like if you take your foot off that gas pedal, everything's going to fall apart. Everything you work for is going to slip away. And yet, part of you knows that you can't keep running at that pace without something breaking, without taking care of yourself. And that's what today's session is all about. That's who it's for. So thanks for coming.
We really genuinely do appreciate it, guys. And it is a gift from us to you to just stop and breathe. Remember, keep breathing. We're going to keep messing with you about that, to just keep breathing. We're the only species, guys, that when we're upset, that we actually hold our breath. And Dr. Ron, when we hold our breath, what happens to our brain?
Well, what happens to every part of us? Because we've cut off, our nervous system. We go into fight or flight. So half of our nervous system that we need for processing life shuts down. And we also shut down the chemical gates between our emotional self and our logical self, between our basic level of thinking and higher level of thinking. So the funny thing is you're in a situation where you're feeling comfortable, and all of a sudden you're cutting off your higher abilities to think, to create, to see what your best next option is. So it's just not a good choice. You want to be able to, when something triggers you or something's uncomfortable or you're caught off guard, anything, those are the moments you want to retrain yourself to breathe into them and breathe through them rather than stop and hold back and contract.
That is so beautiful. And you guys, I've been working with Dr. Ron now for over a year, and I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a pressure cooker situation where the old me would not have performed very well because I was holding my breath, because I was, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. And, I wasn't thinking clearly. Now I breathe into it. And I mean, breathe, guys. The tougher the situation you're in, the more breathing you need to do. And so you're just breathing into it. And it's amazing that what you can accomplish. And so what we're going to be diving into today is why high achieving people, and we know most of you are high achieving people, are really overwhelmed and undervalued. Both the practical reasons like boundaries, overcommitment, the deeper reasons like people pleasing. And how many of us are guilty of that? In this industry, it's people pleasing it's almost like a job requirement. Fear of rejection, you still have that. Even after you've done all these wonderful things, all these things keep coming up. Or even old conditioning that says that you have to carry everyone else's load to be worthy.
We hear a lot about that one going on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, think in terms of if you're not breathing, you've shut down, you've contracted. So you've decreased your level of awareness. So just automatically, that doesn't make any sense. That's not, a lot of people recognize that, oh, my definition of control is, to contract and make myself small. And it's like, no, that's the definition of being completely out of control. Being in control, staying in control, real control is by breathing and staying present enough so you're conscious enough to know what you're thinking, what your best options are, what you're feeling, and where those feelings are coming from, and what your best next step is. So that's always the case. So let's, do you want to take them in the sentence completion? And
Yeah,
yeah,
let's get started with that.
yeah,
So guys, we're going to start with overwhelm. And on the surface, it's often caused by saying yes too much. Anybody guilty of that? Guys, I want you to know that when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. You don't know what that something else is, but if you say yes, oh yes, I'll do that for you, and then your spouse or one of your kids has something special, you have to say no to them because you said yes to something that you really didn't want to say yes to in the first place. So, guys, just one little tip on that. Never ever say yes without taking 3 good deep breaths first.
that's a
That
good
one thing it's worth the price of admission to this just for that for that one tip. Don't ever say yes. Don't ever not just absolutely take the 3 breaths and then make an informed decision. And if you can take longer, please take longer. But if somebody says, "Do you want an ice cream cone?" Yeah, you might just say yes on that one. But for the big stuff, yeah. If it's something yes for them and not for you, that's the deal.
yeah.
So we're going to start with overwhelm, like I said. And underneath overwhelm, it can be driven by subconscious beliefs, like maybe if I'm not busy, then I'm not useful, or different things like that. So those beliefs often start in childhood, and maybe you were praised for being helpful, but you were punished for saying no. And without even realizing it, you carry those beliefs into adulthood. So the first round of sentences, da 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 da. The way this works, guys, you're going to take a deep breath in, which hopefully you've been breathing the whole time. You take a deep breath in, and while you're taking a breath in, I'm going to say, or Dr. Ron, one of us will say the beginning of a sentence, and we call that a sentence stem. And then you, on your exhale, you repeat what we said, and you complete it with whatever comes up. The first time you do it, it might, you might say something very surface level. And so we'll say it several times and try and say something different each time, but don't try. That's a bad word. You're going to be relaxed. We're having your subconscious answer these questions. And that's why this is so powerful. So work with me here. We're going to go into a sentence. So just take a good deep breath in. And then when I feel overwhelmed by others' demands, it's usually because good. We're going to do it again. Take another really good deep breath in. When I feel overwhelmed by others' demands, it's usually because, another good deep breath in. When I feel overwhelmed by others' demands, it's usually because, good job, keep breathing, keep breathing. And guys, if nothing comes up, it's okay. Nothing comes up there, then just take another breath in and say the sentence stem again. Don't give up because nothing came up. Just do it again. And the last time for the sentence, take a good deep breath in. When I feel overwhelmed by others' demands, it's usually because,
So I have different sentences, so we'll shift into that. If I were truly honoring my own needs, I would, and again, you're, if you find yourself looking up into your head for the editor to tell you what's okay to say and what you should say, just relax and breathe and just let yourself spontaneously answer that. If I were truly honoring my own needs, I would just take another breath in, full and deep. And again, during the exhale, if I were truly honoring my own needs, I would, all right, and just deeper and deeper and deeper, more spontaneous. And let's shift to the next sentence. A part of me that's ready to be valued more is, big breath in during and with the exhale. A part of me that's ready to be valued more is, just finishing that with whatever comes up for you. And staying with that several more times, breathing full and deep, saying and completing the sentence. And sometimes you might say something that doesn't feel true, or it doesn't feel right, or it surprises you. That's fine. That's perfect. This is how you neurologically rewire your brain. Is you basically the breathing opens up that right brain. And so just that left brain, thinking brain is all of a sudden developing a partnership. And as you breathe and open up that right brain, it's more spontaneous. It's more spatial. So, and it's also more emotionally in touch with what's going on within you. So you learn to trust that. You learn to value. And what happens is quite literally, neurologically, you're rewiring the brain and developing integrated whole brain thinking. That left brain loves to have that bigger, it loves to know where it wants to go and come up with answers, but it loves to have that bigger perspective that the right brain can share with it. It loves having the spontaneity and the trust to just move towards that down that path that it's so aware of. And having the emotional context that you're in helps it gives it the information it needs to really create a path that's more supportive for you. So again, if you're just half braining your way through life with that left logical brain that got you into the right schools and the right jobs, it's not enough anymore. That's not going to give you emotional intelligence. It's not going to give you the tools you need to be self-aware enough to become that leader that you're capable of, to work with people in a compassionate, caring way that you really not only want to and need to, but that's where your success is going to come from. So just staying with that and breathing and breathing.
all right.
Okay.
Take another good deep breath in, guys. One thing I keep saying yes to, even though I don't want to, is just one at a time. I know you want to write down 100. Another good deep breath in. One thing I keep saying yes to, even though I don't want to, is
You're doing great. Stay with it.
another good deep breath in. One thing I keep saying yes to, even though I don't want to, is great, great, great. We're going to switch sentences. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to have some aha moments. So just take another good deep breath in. When I think about what's really driving my overwhelm, good, good. Keep going, guys. You're doing good. The more deeper you breathe, the better this is. When I think about what's really driving my overwhelm, I notice, good, good, good. It's two more times. So I want you to notice really deeply. Deep in. When I think about what's really driving my overwhelm, I notice, perfect. One more time. Deep, deep, deep. When I think about what's really driving my overwhelm, I notice,
I'd like to slip one in here.
please do.
Continuing to breathe. If I don't say yes, I'm afraid. Big breath in during and with the exhale, saying the first part, completing it with whatever comes up. If I don't say yes, I'm afraid. There's a part of you that knows what you know, but we're looking for the part that you're not aware of what you know. That's subconscious. If I don't say yes, I'm afraid what? What are you afraid people might do? What are you afraid might happen? The more you understand that, the more self-aware you become, the more in control of your life you are. Great job. All right.
Very,
Yeah.
very impressive, guys. So that was our first set, and we always like to take a break between do two sets because if there's any questions, if there's anything that you're just going, man, I don't know if I'm doing it right or whatever, just throw those into the chat. Also, please grab something that you can write with and on, and take a moment and jot down anything that either like surprised you or it like really hit home for you.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to share one of your ahas in the chat, we would love for you to do that, and then we'll read it out because what your aha is might wake up something in someone else who's listening and is still breathing. Guys, keep breathing. You just keep going through the breathing. So we're just going to give you a couple minutes here. Just breathe and jot down anything that came up from that. And if you've got anything in the chat, please just throw that in there.
Okay. When we slow down enough, we begin to see our patterns. As we begin to slow down, we begin to recognize feelings, and rather than stopping breathing, breathe into them and see where they came from. What's the origin of those feelings? Yes, I'm feeling angry, but what's underneath that? Where's that anger coming from? Was it a situation that is affecting me in some way that I was affected as a child? Is it something that, somebody said last week? Begin to understand what you're emotionally responding to, and begin to recognize your patterns so we can realize we're carrying oftentimes loads of that really weren't ours to carry. I hear so many people talking about for example, they're trying to pick up all the slack in the office. They're trying to take care of everything that not isn't getting done by everybody else. And, where is that coming from? And the truth is, it's often from people wanting to prove themselves. That's the burnout that comes from that is really just the result of them, wanting to be liked, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be approved. So, sometimes those habits start years before, as I say, even in childhood, when overachieving or over giving kept us safe, loved, or noticed. Notice, think in terms of what does a child want more than anything else? And the answer, I've asked that question all over the world, is love, and it's unconditional love that we want. And so what will we do to get that? Whatever it takes. And what that looks like oftentimes is our life is we highlight, we put out, we develop those parts of ourselves that get acceptance and love. But all those other parts, maybe the emotions that weren't safe to express, maybe the parts of ourselves that didn't feel accepted and safe, we shove those down into that inner cave. And that's where a lot of that noisy mind comes from. That's where a lot of our subconscious driven, limitations come from. But your nervous system, your nervous system's not updating. It's still being run by those old programs until you literally consciously rewire it. So part of what they're doing today is helping you become aware of those old patterns and programs so you can rewire it. That's what we're doing here today.
It's pretty exciting stuff. When you really think about it, guys, I personally, I have been a self-development junkie, literally junkie since 1990. And it helped me quite a bit. It helped me, it pulled me from who I was to more of who I wanted to be, exactly like Dr. Ron said, on the outside.
Yeah.
On the outside, my life looked really good. And I worked really, really hard to achieve. And I was trying and I was efforting and I was just doing and doing and doing. And I was freaking exhausted. And it caused some serious health issues. And that is how I found Dr. Ron. Well, actually, I guess he kind of found me. He came onto my podcast
Um,
right when I needed him the most. He came onto my podcast and I hired him as my executive coach. And guys, let me tell you, as someone who I could go toe to toe with any of you that think that you know self-development. I mean, that was my thing. And all of that I would have traded, all that 34 years of that I would have traded if I could have met him 34 years ago and lived my life the way I feel now. I mean, it's absolutely life-changing. And we're just showing you the first few steps here. So I think
yeah,
you've got a couple more sentences, Dr.
yeah,
Ron.
yeah. It's always perfect. So now's the time for you. So yeah. So let's dig a little deeper. Let's just become a little more self-aware and do a few more sentence completions. And again, you're breathing in. I'll be sharing the initial part of the sentence. All you're doing is during and with each exhale, as you're saying and completing that sentence, just turn off that little editor in your head that's wondering whether you are saying the right thing or the right way or what you should say. Just ignore that and see what comes out. That spontaneity is really the epitome of rewiring your brain. So here we go. So take a big breath in. If I set one clear boundary this week, it would be the finishing with whatever comes out. Big breath in. If I set one clear boundary this week, it would be, and just from that place of curiosity, presence, finishing that sentence with whatever comes up. Big breath again. Breathe full and deep. During with that exhale, saying and completing the sentence. If I set one clear boundary this week, it would be. What would that boundary be that you should set? What would you have to do to take better care of yourself? And let's move into the next sentence. Continuing to breathe, being present and curious. Big breath in. When I imagine being truly valued, I feel, see what comes out. Big breath in. When I imagine being truly valued, I feel, imagine yourself being truly valued. How does that make you feel emotionally, mentally, physically? How's your life look different? Breathing in. When I imagine being truly valued, I feel better about yourself. Do you see the world differently? Do it a couple more times. When I feel, excuse me, when I imagine being truly valued, I feel, way to go. Nice going.
Yeah, you guys are rocking it. Thank you for playing full out. When you play full out, you get full out results.
Mhm.
Next sentence, good breath in, good deep breath in. And remember, guys, repeat. I want to just explain this. Keep breathing. Repeat the sentence stem with whatever follows. Because right now, if you're breathing well, You're in a subconscious state, and everything that you're saying to yourself becomes an affirmation. And that's where the rewiring really takes hold. So take a good deep breath in. Something I'm beginning to realize about my worth is, good, good, good. Another good deep breath in. Something I'm beginning to realize about my worth is, doing great. Stick with it, guys. Your body's going to try and fight it. So just override it. Take a good deep breath in. Something I'm beginning to realize about my worth is, hopefully this is getting more fun each time. One more time on this one. Something I'm beginning to realize about my worth is, very cool, very cool. Okay, we're going moving on to the next one. Again, deep breath in, repeat the stem. If I let go of proving myself, I could, again, if I let go of proving myself, I could, good, good, good. Deep breath in again. If I was to let go of proving myself, I could, I would. Just think, guys, if you let go of proving yourself, how much energy you would free up. Honestly, when you walk into a room and you're really not thinking about anything about how you're coming across or what anyone else is thinking, and it's just really, really freeing. It gives you so much energy to do what matters the most to you. Great job.
Yeah. And think in terms of if you're coming from that confident, authentic place, that really is your, expressing your relationship with yourself. And your relationship with yourself is always mirrored in your relationship with others. So the more present, the more you self taking good care of yourself, the more you're in that confident, authentic place, not from trying to be, but having healed and shifted things so that you truly are coming from that place, you're going to see shifts in all of your relationships, personal and professional. I can guarantee that. I hear about it all the time. So before we wrap up, just take a moment to share any insights you might have had in the chat. Just there's value in it for yourself in doing that, but there's also value in helping others to see the shifts that you're going through, and that really motivates and gets them going. Okay, good. All right. So let's just take a moment. You've done such a good job. And we're just going to take a moment to be present here and take a big breath in, closing your eyes for a moment. Nobody's watching you, so you're totally safe. Nobody's going to change or do anything. Breathing, closing your eyes, and letting your shoulders relax. Well, sometimes when people take a big breath in, their shoulders go up. Well, your lungs are down below. So if you want to fill your lungs. If you're taking a big full breath, your belly will be going out. Take that slow breath in and just gently exhale. And as you're exhaling, just imagine releasing one piece of that heaviness that you've been carrying. Every time you breathe in, and again, as you're exhaling, you're letting go. You're breathing and letting go. You're breathing and becoming. You're letting go of all the things that limit you. You're letting go of all the thoughts, the beliefs, any of those limitations that hold you back. Breathing in and letting go. Breathing and becoming who you truly are, that confident, authentic person. Picture yourself standing taller, feeling lighter. Feel your shoulders move back. Feel your spine go straight. Feel yourself just really standing more present and erect in the world. feeling lighter, being valued simply for who you are, not for how much you do or how much you know, pretend you know or anything like that. Not for all the outside stuff, but for the inner stuff, for you, who you truly are. And as you breathe, quite literally, let that image sink in for a moment, maybe for a long moment, and know that that's what's available to you. That's who you truly are. It's just getting rid of all the extra stuff that keeps you from knowing that self, from accepting and loving that self. Be courageous. Be courageous enough to love and accept yourself unconditionally, because that's the person who's going to find the success and be living the life, creating the life that they want to be living. Kara, why don't you tell us about the workbook?
So guys, we know that this is short and it's kind of quick. However, we've given you some tools here today. This literally, I've said this several times, this was a gift from us to you, and we've given you a lot of tools here today that you can take home and you can really work through some of this stuff. And so this workbook that we put together is it's just to explore like what's really been holding you back. It has some sentence stems in it, and it's a good way to kind of get you started. Now, I do want to kind of put a little disclaimer in there. What we did with you here today and what we are doing with you in the workbook is it's created for a broad audience. When you actually work with a coach and you're doing this, and let's say that on a on a sentence completion, you said you took a deep breath in and you said the biggest thing that's overwhelming me is blank. And you said that, and that blank, you said it, and it showed on you. The emotion was like, oh, that is big. Whatever it was that came out of your mouth right there, that is big. Your coach won't go to the next sentence. Your coach will dig into that specific thing that was really deep. And so, and I do have to tell you, if you hire Ron as your coach, you better strap in because he won't let it go. He's going to dig in there and dig in there and dig in there and help you. And guys, I just want to tell you, I had a client the other day who had a breakthrough and he didn't want to go deeper. He really did not want to because why? It's scary, guys. It's scary. You've got that cave that Dr. Ron talked about, and you put all that stuff into that cave, and it's scary, and you don't really want to open up that cave. Well, I pushed him just a little bit, right? And that's what a coach can do. I pushed him and I pushed him just a little bit, and he pushed through. He felt and saw what it was, this thing that had been blocking him. He felt it, he saw it, and he saw it dissipate. And guys, that's when he came back and he said, I am ready to do the work. I saw that it works. And I'm just asking you to take it on faith that it works, to get this book to the workbook and go through it and shut out the world when you do it, guys. You have to take care of yourself to be able to take care of anyone else. For my fellow people pleasers, you have got to. You have to put on your own oxygen mask, right? And doing this workbook is a really good first step. So you can email me. I believe it's in the chat. And if it's not, it's Kara at karashug.com, KARASCHUG.com, or Ron at ronstotts.com, which is Ron, RON, STOTTS.com. And just say workbook, and we'll be happy to send that to you. And it goes into more of what we have and more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And if stuff comes up that you want to chat about, you're certainly welcome to touch base with either one of us. We'd love to chat with you about that. I really do. I've been doing this for quite a while. And the truth is it does seem scary at first, but it also, in a very short time for many people, becomes the most exciting adventure they've ever been on. And the reason is because it's an adventure in self-discovery. It's an adventure in finally understanding yourself and seeing what's holding you back and knowing how to let go of that and feeling confident that now everything's going to shift, that you can transform, you can evolve. And truly, we all have this self-image, that little secret of how wonderful we truly are and how life could be. that's real. You can be that. You can have that. You just have to let go of all the stuff that holding you back. And that's the adventure of self-discovery. And it's I think it's the best thing in the world.
Well, I do too, guys. I feel that way so strongly that after a 22 year, very successful career in real estate, I sold my real estate team and I'm working with Dr. Ron doing this full time. Like this is, I am like the poster child, you guys. Seriously, I am the poster child for this. It works. Literally, after about a month of me being his coachee, I used his techniques with my coachees and the results were just it's phenomenal. Why do you think that the results are so much faster than traditional ways of dealing with your past trauma?
Well, I think, in say talk therapy, talk therapy is really talking the left brain, what you know, and you're talking about those things. And I'm not criticizing that. That's a good maintenance tool. It allows you to gain some insight, but it doesn't create transformation. And a lot of things are also quick fixes. You feel better for a couple of weeks, and that's great. Those are helpful tools. But if you really want to transform and shift things, and have them last, that means you really have got to go back in and reparent that child. But and quite literally, as we've already talked about, it's that brain stuff. If you're if say as a child, I mean, in my family, anger was not acceptable. And during the period I grew up, fear wasn't acceptable. So, what did I do with all of my anger? What did I do with all of my fear growing up? I shoved it down into my cave, and that just became the way, that wasn't traumatic. That was just normal to me. And fortunately, with due to a terrible Vietnam experience and losing a lot of friends, it opened up that cave door. And in the opening up that cave door, I really had to, unfortunately, because it was all sort of dumped on me, explore, where did I come from? What was that all about? Why was that all secreted away and stuffed down so much? You're in a different place in life. I was only like 20 years old and had no sense of what was going on in the world. And you've got some years and you know that you're at the effect of things. And all we're saying is welcome to the club. But now you can join a different club where you really learn to accept and become that integrated whole being uh, person that really does have the confidence and really does have the authenticity to lead your own life, lead yourself, but also to lead others in supportive ways, not dominating ways, but in supportive ways, because you're able to be more vulnerable, more compassionate, empathetic, and then it increases people's trust. And so you find yourself, your team becoming more productive, and that results in more profitability. So, it's all connected to that. So, yeah. So jump
Yeah,
on
so
in.
one of the things, guys, I think that we like to pretend aren't real. But when I ask it to you this way, I bet it's going to hit a nerve. I hope it's going to hit a nerve. Um, are you different at home than you are when you're out in public? Are you are there things that your family doesn't talk about that they step around because they know that it will trigger you? How cool will it be? And I'm hoping this for you. How cool will it be when you have those triggers removed and you're not at the effect of what other people do? Because the only person you can control is you. You can't control what anyone else does. And so if they have the power to trigger you to do something that is less than who you really are, you probably really need to look into this.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and we really do appreciate it. And, as I said earlier, find the courage to love yourself and the courage to really get to know yourself on a deeper level so that you can heal and experience that life that you know you're worthy of.
There you go. Thank